from the Don and Lorena Meyer studio at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Elena Tomish.
And I'm John Walsh. Our top story today.
A combine in Fillmore, Nebraska exploded on Wednesday, killing its driver. The Fillmore County Fire Department and the McColl Junction Fire Department worked closely on putting out the field fire. Once it was put out, the crews came upon the operator's body. The driver, identified as 92-year-old Harold Cool Sr., died in the explosion. The state fire marshal said that the explosion was caused by faulty mechanics within the large harvester.
Wednesday, Nebraska Secretary of State Bob Evnen spoke about Nebraska's national recognition as a top 5 state for election performance and the current plans to make voting in Nebraska more secure.
Nebraska continues to be nationally recognized for its secure election procedures. Earlier this year, the MIT Election Data and Science Lab rated our state 5th in the nation for election performance.
Part of Nebraska's success comes from implementing voter IDs, along with giving all 93 of Nebraska's counties stronger cybersecurity, says Evnen. All of the government websites for Nebraska's counties now present an IT department to handle daily security, as well as a weekly website scan to find any underlying vulnerability. Members of the IT departments have to meet with election officials and emergency officials from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency to rehearse emergency situations that may arise, according to Evnen.
Our elections division, our county election officials, and everyone on their staffs come to work every day to ensure voting is protected and possible for every eligible Nebraska voter.
Lincoln police are warning residents to stay aware of phone scams that request personal or financial information. On Tuesdays, officers investigated a fraud case involving a 41-year-old victim. She received a call that appeared to be from Wells Fargo, during which the caller claimed there was fraudulent activity on her account and asked her to confirm codes sent to her phone. After complying, the victim discovered that $372 had been withdrawn from her account. Upon contacting Wells Fargo, she learned it was a scam. The LPD advises everyone to verify the legitimacy of such requests before sharing any personal or account details.
The Lincoln's Children's Zoo held its annual Sensory Safari on Wednesday in partnership with the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Nebraska Nightly's Luke Vi takes us through the event and how important it is for the community.
The Sensory Safari is an annual event held at the Lincoln Children's Zoo on the first Wednesday of October. This event has been providing individualized experience learning about nature for over 15 years and caters to the sensory impaired.
So we do a lot of things in the urban areas, and especially like Lincoln and Omaha, where we might be people's first connection to nature. So whether that's going on a bird hike or just getting out and observing nature, having events like this, we're usually that first connection with them, and that is the best experience.
This year, the Sensory Safari had 18 interpretive stations with the help of the Nebraska State Museum, Forest Service, and Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. All of the interactive booths meshes together well to meet everyone's needs.
Really kind of a mixture of what we're already doing at the zoo. So we're making sure that our critter outpost, our hive building, jungle outpost, they all are staffed and they have people out with critters and animals that guests can see and do a 2-finger touch with. And then making sure that we have our lettuce available for those sensory safari guests.
Jessica Ellsbury attended the event with her new friend, Katie Luby. Katie is a veteran of the safari and even traveled over an hour to attend today. But for Jessica, it was a new experience.
This is my first time coming to the safari, so this is kind of cool because I get to feel the different stuff, feel what I like, feel what I don't like.
For Katie, she did not enjoy the sea life very much.
I didn't like touching the fish. It felt weird.
For the both, they hope to keep attending in the future.
I'll be here every year. It's going to be a tradition from now on.
Now I think it's a tradition, like we're coming together every year.
Although the safari is over for the year, it's always exciting to look forward to the next event. Monica says the biggest goal is to get people from across the state to attend and to make it that event for people to go to each year. For Nebraska Nightly, I'm Luke Vi.
If you're interested in taking part in the safari or just want to take a relaxing walk through the zoo, their hours are from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Lincoln Parks and Recreation hosted the Wild Fall Festival last weekend, bringing together a variety of organizations and nonprofits to provide educational activities for kids focused on the environment.
Saturday, hundreds of kids and their families gathered at Pioneers Park for the Wild Fall Festival.
We're excited to have the Wild Fall Festival today. It's a free festival bringing various community organizations and groups together to provide nature education and opportunities for people to engage in environmental education, nature, all things sort of outdoors and wild here in Lincoln.
The Wild Fall Festival has been going on for over 10 years, but this is the first time they have combined their tree-giving event with Arbor Day Farms.
One of our main goals is to help enhance and replace some of the tree canopy around Lincoln. So with the storms in July and with emerald ash borer, there's been a lot of large deciduous shade trees that have been damaged or lost. So these trees are to help replace some of those larger shade trees in people's lawns.
The chance to make a positive environmental impact for free drew many Lincoln residents to take a tree to plant back home while enjoying a day of festivities with their children.
We had people lining up about 11:30. We really get quite a bit of excitement for this event, and it's, I think, just a little after 2 o'clock now, and we've just given away our last tree. So, people really get excited about these events, and we get quite the turnout for them.
Wild Fall Fest gave kids and even their parents an opportunity to get away from technology and enjoy learning and experiencing nature.
It's just really, really cool to learn about different things. I really like just opening up and learning about everything around me.
We really just want to provide people an opportunity to engage with the outdoors and the natural resources around them, and maybe that's through going for a hike, or maybe that's doing artwork, just lots of different opportunities for people to learn about the world around them.
For Nebraska Nightly, I'm Nandini Rini-Kindi.
Last week, Husker Nation celebrated Cornchella with many traditional homecoming events. Some events included Greek life lawn displays, showtime at the Coliseum, the parade, and the football game. At the parade, the Cornhusker Marching Band, Greek life, and the homecoming court traveled through campus. Students and families enjoyed corn on the cob, live face paint, and other fun activities at the Cornstalk Festival outside Memorial Stadium. Homecoming week closed with a home field victory against Rutgers and the crowning of the homecoming royalty. Emerson Putnam, a senior biological sciences major, and Jamie Smith, a senior education major, won.
We may be more than a week into October, but the warm weather is still with us in the capital city.
Meteorologist Logan Schlotman has your weekend forecast. Logan?
We have had an abundance of warm temperatures, but you know what we haven't seen in quite a while? Precipitation. It has been 16 days since we have last seen rain here in Lincoln. That ranks third for this year, which we are pretty close to second, just 2 days away. And that was earlier in September on the 16th, with the highest rank is 25 days consecutively on March 12th. I'll be back with a full forecast in a few minutes. Back to you.
Coming up after the break.
An update on the latest Israeli airstrikes.
Hurricane Milton lands in Florida.
And an update on Diddy's court case, all after the break.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
Welcome back. With one more week of classes left before fall break, I'm wondering if it's finally going to feel like fall.
Meteorologist Logan Schlotman has your 10-day forecast. Logan?
Well, it should continue warm for a little bit before a cold front that'll come through and bring colder temperatures over the weekend. That may not lead into fall break, though. As we take a look at current temperatures across the place, 60s, 70s, and 80s are going to be seen currently across the state, with 85 in Omaha. But currently here in Lincoln, it is 86 degrees, a nice calm wind, and a high relative humidity compared to some places out in the Sandhills and the Panhandle where some red flag warnings are in effect for dangerous fire weather, while current satellite across the United States pretty cloud-free for the southeast, while in the Midwest and the upper plains, there are some clouds that have been covering the area. Zooming more into Nebraska, we do see those clouds covering most of the entire state except for little portions of southeast Nebraska. Taking a look at that radar currently, just a couple of maybe small showers, maybe some traces of rain over in southern Nebraska, but mostly clear and dry. And that's going to be the same thing for the NAMS model. As looking at the next 72 hours, we'll just be seeing maybe some chances over in central and western Nebraska, but still mainly for eastern Nebraska, it's still going to remain dry. Taking a look at those rain chances, still a lot of 0%, as it will be 0 all the way up until Thursday, where we have a 10% chance, and then Friday, where we will see that 20% chance of rain. So it's good to see some of this back on the map right here, as taking a look at your current conditions for tonight. 49 degrees. It's going to be mostly cloudy going into partly cloudy, mild conditions, and it'll be a northeast early wind of 5 to 7 miles per hour. While looking at tomorrow, it's going to be partly cloudy, 82 degrees, a northerly wind of 3 to 8 miles per hour. And it's going to be seasonably warm, and we should see those high temperatures probably get around 4 p.m. Taking a look at that week ahead, that Sundays, we're going to see that cold front come in. We'll see those temperatures all the way drop down to some 60s, maybe more seasonally cool, but they'll start to rise back again as Wednesday will be back in the 70s, and by Thursday and Friday, even back in the 80s. Well, if you're looking at those temperatures are going to be coming back or maybe get into colder conditions, I'd probably tend to say in the warmer conditions, as for the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, not for next week but the week ahead, we'll be seeing those temperatures more likely to be seasonably warm. But for the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, we finally see some more above average chances for precipitation. While taking a look at the drought monitor that came out yesterday, still lots of portions of Nebraska in drought conditions, while we almost have a severe drought over in the Panhandle. That's all I have for today's forecast. Back to you guys.
Lebanese authorities say the latest Israeli airstrikes on central Beirut have killed at least 22 people. More than 100 others were wounded. Witnesses tell CNN an entire 4-story building filled with recently displaced people collapsed. Rescue workers have been digging through the rubble, trying to find survivors and victims. Hezbollah says a senior official who managed the group's domestic and international affairs was the target, but he survived the attack.
As an effort to help those affected by Hurricane Milton, Midwest grocer Hy-Vee is sending relief supplies to their partners in the South.
In a partnership with Operation BBQ, Hy-Vee will be sending 2 semis full of food and water, a generator, and other supplies to those in need. The hurricane has brought shocking destruction and has left over 2 million people without power.
In a statement, Hy-Vee chairman and CEO Jeremy Gosh said, quote, Hy-Vee has a long tradition of helping communities in need. We know our customers are just as concerned as we are about the welfare of those impacted by these devastating storms.
Donations to the hurricane disaster relief through the American Red Cross can also be made by rounding up at the Hy-Vee Register. Jamie Sipes, the senior vice president of security, stated, when you have the ability to help, you have the responsibility to help. Floridians are reeling from back-to-back hurricanes. Milton made landfall as a major Category 3 storm Wednesday night, overwhelming much of the Sunshine State with heavy rain and flooding and unleashing an outbreak of deadly tornadoes. Rescue and recovery efforts continue as millions remain without power. Ivan Rodriguez is in Fort Peace with the latest.
Floridians dealt a 1-2 punch by major hurricanes, now trying to pick up the pieces.
What we need going forward is just kind of empathy for our residents. They just went through 2 major hurricanes in our area, and so many have lost their homes, their livelihoods, and now they have to find a new place to call home.
A once-in-1,000-year rain event flooding homes in areas that weren't expected to flood.
It was just terrible. The water was so cold.
The chairs were just floating, couches were floating, everything was floating.
On the West Coast in Clearwater, entire lives upended by flooding in a non-evacuation zone.
These are folks who didn't have much and they've lost everything.
While on the East Coast, communities flattened by an unprecedented rash of tornadoes. In St. Lucie County, emergency responders had 900 calls for help within just a 90-minute window Wednesday.
Never have I experienced damage or the amount of tornadoes that came through this area. It was the most frightening thing I've ever lived through.
Multiple people have died, and authorities say more casualties are expected as search, rescue, and recovery efforts continue.
We're sifting through all this debris. We're trying to use dogs to search for people. We're trying to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to rescue as many people as we can.
In Fort Pierce, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
A federal court appeals court judge has denied a request by Sean Diddy Combs to be immediately released from jail. The judge referred the case to a panel of 3 judges to hear arguments on whether Combs, who remains in federal detention in New York, should be granted bail. The original judge in the case also denied him bail. The judge cited his concerns about witness tampering, physical violence, and Combs' ability to flee the country. Combs has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking, conspiracy, and prostitution-related charges and is awaiting trial. He's being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since his arrest 3 weeks ago. Trial is scheduled for May 5th. Well, coming up after the break,
Husker volleyball takes on Purdue.
The Royals fall to the Yankees.
And Husker football enters their bye week, all after the break.
Okay, so how about this much?
I don't know.
Well, how about this much?
I don't know.
How about...
Actually, I don't know.
Okay, maybe this much?
I don't know.
The very tip of your pencil, a fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. That's how much it takes for a dose of fentanyl to become lethal. Learn more at realdealonfentanyl.com.
Welcome back. Husker football may be off this week, but Lincoln is still buzzing with volleyball and baseball. Sports director Trey Marler has all the details. Trey.
Nebraska football this weekend means all eyes on Nebraska volleyball at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. The Huskers have a pair of Big Ten matchups starting tonight versus Purdue. Nebraska Nightly's Sarah Pearson has the preview from the Bob. Sarah?
Thanks, Trey. We are outside the Bob Devaney Sports Center ahead of a top 10 matchup between number 2 Nebraska and number 10 Purdue. The Huskers lead the series all-time 24-8, and they will look for their 6th win in a row against the Boilermakers tonight. First service set for 7:30 p.m., and the game can be seen on the Big Ten Network. Reporting from the Bob Devaney Sports Center, Sarah Pearson, Nebraska Nightly Sports. I'll send it over to Harmon Johnson at Haymarket Park for the start of fall baseball.
The buzz is palpable among the players here at Hawksfield at Haymarket Park as the white squad and the red squad get ready to face off in game 1 of 5 in the annual Red-White Series. The first time Nebraska has played 5 games in a single weekend in intra-squad scrimmage style. All 5 games will be 7 innings. Tonight, 6 o'clock, if you can make it, free admission. There will be concessions available. Saturday at 2 o'clock, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Husker baseball getting ready for 2025. It starts right here in a couple of hours here at Hawksfield. I'm Harmon Johnson. Back to you, Trey.
Thanks, Harmon. Well, the last time an MLB team made the postseason and won a World Series and won a series after losing 100 games the season before was never. Well, that all changed when the Royals won the wild card last week in Baltimore, and they were looking to keep the magical run going while facing elimination in the ALDS. Perfect October night in Kansas City, Missouri. 5th inning, Yankees up 1 and looking for more. Gleyber Torres drives home Alex Verdugo, Yankees up 2. More from New York in the 6th. Giancarlo Stanton, he stays red hot. His 6th hit of the series extends the lead to 3. Kansas City looking for some postseason magic. Vinny Pasquantino to the left center gap. That one brings home Bobby Witt Jr. Royals have life in the K. 7th inning, man on. Cal Isbell looking to be the hero. Deep fly ball, right field. Does it have enough? It does not, as the Yankees hang on 3-1, ending the magical Royals season in the ALDS.
Feel really badly for those guys in the room because, as you know, when this is 7-8 months of the year that they just pour it all into it and give every ounce of effort and energy they have.
Well, it may be the bye week, but you didn't think that was going to stop us from talking Nebraska football, did you? At the midway point of the season, the Huskers sit at 5-1. That record in large part to the defense. The Blackshirts lead the Big Ten in sacks, tackles for loss, and defensive touchdowns. Even though the Huskers are off to their best start since 2016, head coach Matt Rule knows there's still plenty of work to be done.
Second half of the season, it's the same to me as the first. Like after Illinois, I could just feel our team. I could feel our coaching staff. We have to win this game. We have to win this game. I just enjoyed this game better where the guys just wanted to play, and so I'm going to do my best to go 1-0 every week. Even the bye week, I'm going to try to be great this week on the bye week.
Here is a look at that back half gauntlet for the Huskers. They start with a pair of top 25 road opponents in Indiana, Ohio State before heading back home against UCLA. Then a perfectly timed bye week before USC, Wisconsin, and of course that Black Friday under the lights against arch rival Iowa on NBC.
You know, Trey, it's been a crazy 6 weeks of no weeks off, and most of those being home games. I'm kind of ready for this bye week for us.
We should really enjoy the bye week because things start to really ramp up after this. Basketball starts with a scrimmage on Sunday, and then we hit that month in November where volleyball, football are wrapping up, and basketball is just getting started. So a lot going on, so enjoy the bye week because a lot starts to pick up right after this.
And it's really no weeks off because volleyball's this weekend, too.
That's fair, that's fair.
Great, thank you, Trey. Coming up after the break.
A bowling benefit happening tomorrow.
Northern lights appear in the Midwest.
A Nebraska bass goes viral all after the break.
Yeah. What time is it again?
It's 11:57.
Oh my gosh, no, I have homework.
It's okay, you still have 3 minutes.
Right, I'll pull it up on my phone. Oh my gosh, 50 questions. How am I supposed to do this?
Well, if you were built different, you could do it.
No!
Tonight on Nebraska Nightly.
Big weekend in Lincoln. Hayden Hudson is here with all the details.
The second annual Strikeout Stigma Bowling Benefit is happening tomorrow, October 12th, hosted by the Wellbeing Initiative. The Bowl-a-thon is supporting a nonprofit organization developed, driven, and run by peers. They offer a variety of community-based organizations and resources for workplace wellness and diversity and inclusion. Support mental health and in the workplace by bowling, winning prizes, and having fun. For more information, visit givebutter.com/strikeoutstigma for more. Lincoln area Thursday night, you might have caught sight of this geomagnetic phenomenon. The aurora borealis graced the Nebraska-Iowa night sky between 7 p.m. Thursday, October 10th and 1 a.m. Friday, October 11th. This colorful night sky was last seen visible in May earlier this year. Social media is full of cute animals, but have you ever seen a bass swim onto your screen? Nebraska Nightly's Nia Davis has more about a famous fish.
Meet Gus the Bass, the fish caught by a UNL student who turned his journey into a social media sensation. And yes, he's cashing in on his aquatic star. Join us as we explore how this unlikely duo is making a big splash in the world of online fame.
So the story began, I started posting fishing videos and I had a wide open 55-gallon fish tank. And my dad was the one that gave me the idea. I went out fishing. Gus was the first bass that I caught, and he was probably about a couple inches long. I took him home, and then it just started from there.
As he went on to continue his journey in college, of course, Gus the Bass had to come along with him.
So that was a pretty difficult time where I had to sneak him into college, and then his tank leaked all over my dorm.
Despite the hardships, Weeblehouse and Gus found a way to make a profit, particularly on their TikTok account that has over 1.3 million followers.
So I got to treat it as a job and not as a hobby because it does pay the bills, so I really do got to work on it.
And of course, the Gus the Bass plush toy is a fan favorite.
I just think that his account is so positive and he is a pet fish. Like, are you kidding me?
I like to think that he has a personality. I also like to think that he knows like who I am, but I really don't think he does. Gus is the best pet I could have ever asked for.
It's safe to say that Gus the Bass is the most famous fish on TikTok. This is Nia Davis reporting for Nebraska Nightly.
We have the opportunity to partner with 1011 News and UNL Communications, and Nebraska Nightly's Mackenzie Noble is here with This Week at UNL.
Electric vehicle crash tests at Nebraska make national news. Husker researchers crashed a 7,000-pound electric pickup going 62 miles per hour into concrete barriers commonly used as freeway medians. The barriers contained the collision, but chunks of concrete went flying, and the 5,000-pound barriers were pushed 10 feet back. That's 50% more than normal.
And unfortunately, these guardrail systems have performed very well with gasoline vehicles historically, do not appear to be containing electric vehicles when impacting with similar types of conditions. When these electric vehicles are a little bit heavier, they require more force to be able to be redirected backwards into the travel lanes or onto the shoulder, and that extra force may be more than these guardrail systems are designed to handle.
More than 19,000 people died in crashes where their vehicle left the roadway last year, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. This makes up nearly half of all traffic deaths. A Nebraska team unravels secrets woven into historic quilts. A group of volunteers works to decipher mysteries hidden in the collections of UNL's International Quilt Museum. The Genealogical Task Force researches any quilt that comes in the museum with names written or embroidered on it. The volunteers add the names and other information to the museum's database and popular ancestry websites like Find a Grave and Ancestry.com. The group has stitched together clues on more than 600 quilts in the 20 years since they started. A high-flying Husker tradition requires military planning, precise timing, and a team of UNL students. Air Force ROTC cadets help coordinate the stadium flyover at each Cornhusker home game. The students position themselves at the top of Memorial Stadium, where they connect the activities on the field with the pilots in the air.
So we kind of coordinate a lot with the pilots beforehand to make sure that we have everything lined up, also in coordination with the athletics department. And then when we get here, we just make sure that radio checks are all good and that the crew knows exactly when everything needs to happen. But being able to do this for 2 years and being able to talk to pilots from all around the country, even all over the world, and just see what their motivation is, what their why is for joining the Air Force, making me a lot more solidified in my decision to try and compete for an Air Force pilot slot.
After the flyover, the students escort the pilots to the field to be recognized during the fourth quarter. And that's what's happening this week at UNL. I'm Mackenzie Noble.
Thanks, Mackenzie. You know, I've always wondered how that tradition works because it's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite traditions we got, especially pregame. Gets the nerves going.
It's incredible. Well, we're going to toss it over to Logan just to get one last look of the weather. Logan?
If you're a fan of warmer weather, you might just have to wait a little bit after this weekend, as a cold front is expected to pass through Sunday, bringing 60s, but those temperatures should come back, as by Wednesday you'll be seeing 70s, and that Thursday, Friday should be back in the 80s. Should be a good time for this weekend, especially some of the cold weather. I've been getting pretty used to this warm weather, and hopefully some rain soon as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready for October to feel like October. I don't know.
Yeah, I know at the football game last week, I was in shorts and a polo, and I was like, this should not be October. I should not be sweating in October at a football game. So I'm kind of excited to see some of those 60s on there. So I'm kind of glad. I know we asked Dominic a couple weeks ago to kind of work his magic with the colder weather.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should
paid off. So it paid off.
Like,
so
I don't know. It just depends. Maybe it's been an unusually warm fall, but hopefully by November we should see some colder temperatures.
Well, I would hope. I don't know. Thank you, Logan. Nebraska Nightly is a production of the University of Nebraska's College of Journalism and Mass Communications.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Nebraska Nightly.